La edad es solo un número es una producción de la Alianza Hispana, con el generoso patrocinio de Next 50 Initiative, a quienes agradecemos profundamente por creer en esta visión de construir una sociedad más justa, inclusiva y sin prejuicios de edad. Bienvenido a La Edad es solo un número. Hello everyone, thank you for being here and welcome to another episode of La Edad es solo un número, age is just a number. This is the title of this amazing space, and I am your host, Alberto Machuca. This podcast is produced by La Alianza Hispana with the generous support of our sponsor, Next 50 Initiative, who's committed to improving the life of older adults, makes conversation like this possible. I am pretty excited about this conversation. Today we have an amazing guest, Rhonda Pieroni, President and CEO of Hearth, and Nimo, Director of Supported Housing and Behavioral Health. Thank you both for being here. And we are going to talk about a pretty important topic today. And also, this episode is going to be translated in Spanish. We are going to put some Spanish subtitles. So, Rhonda, I would love to begin with you this conversation. So, tell us more about your work and about Hearth.
Well, first, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to meet with you today and to share Hearth's work with your audience.
Thank you.
Hearth has been around for over 35 years. And our focus is older adults. So we started out with older adult homelessness. And we have focused on, we have some of our own housing. We have 228 units of housing in the greater Boston area. Okay. And that's, if you look at the problem of older adults, in the homeless sector, they are the fastest growing population. So that's pretty sad. And when we look at older adults, the statistics are based on age 50 and older. So that's relatively young. There's a lot of living to do, and to be homeless, find yourself homeless at that age, it's very difficult. So we know that we don't have enough housing to provide for all of those older adults that are in need. So what we do is we have other areas that we work to help to solve this problem. And some of those areas are outreach. We have outreach case managers that go into the shelters where these older adults are, and they help them to find housing outside of whether it's in Greater Boston or further. And then they continue to support them with what we call stabilization services. Okay. And then we have a prevention team which works with individuals that are at risk of becoming homeless, and that could be potentially a rental eviction. And it's not always for reasons people may think. It's for affordability. The rents are continuing to rise, or somebody has a health problem, something that puts them behind in their rent payments, or even mortgage. We help people with potentially foreclosure. And we're seeing more and more of that over the last few years. So we help through housing, through prevention, through outreach, and also through advocacy.
No, thank you. And I would like to go deeper in a couple of minutes about that. But I would like to ask you, what inspired you to dedicate your career serving older adults experiencing this kind of reality of homelessness?
I've been with Hearth 9 years this month, just will be 9 years. And when I had began the job, I didn't know too much about Hearth. I had always been a nonprofit, not specifically for the older adult. And once I began to work at the organization and learned all that they were able to do for somebody, it hit home because I had a brother who had experienced homelessness, and it was because of a combination of some mental illness and alcohol addiction. And, the family worked with him through housing and finding housing, but the key was the services weren't there. And we were trying to figure out how to help, how to get support, and speaking with his doctors. And I just think when I got the job there, I thought, had we been aware of supportive housing, had there been that type of, stabilization services for him once he got into housing, he passed away, and I'm saying, would it have been different, with their, the family support was there, but the professional support, wasn't. And we sought that out, but we never knew about this. And then I landed a job literally 3 years after he passed away.
Wow.
And my mother was still alive at that time, and we spoke about, what if we knew about this? What if this was here? Could that have helped, prolong his life? So it then, a job, I think I was put here for a reason, right?
Yes.
It helped me to understand the, how organizations can help with homelessness, and how organizations, and it's not just housing, and Nimo can talk more about that as we get into the conversation, because it's addressing the needs of the individuals. Providing them a home and having that key and helping them get into the home and set up the home is a lot different from providing them, understanding the services that they might need and providing that. And that's where what we missed, as a family.
No, thank you for sharing that. I think it's pretty personal and pretty powerful. That gave us a whole different perspective about your work, so thank you so much. So, Nimo, I would like to continue with you. What drew you toward working specifically with older adults?
First of all, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
My professional background, I'm a clinical social worker.
Okay.
And I have been a social worker since 2008 when I graduated from college.
Okay.
But my profession developed into different perspective of supporting individuals. In 2001, when COVID hit, I came into Hearth. I didn't know about Hearth, the work they do. I just was looking for employment, and I landed Hearth.
Okay.
Once I started working there as a clinician, I saw the work they do. From a clinical perspective, you see the wraparound services that's provided. I have been with Hearth for 5 years since then. I've held different positions. I started as a clinician, and now I'm a director of 3 departments. So that tells you the value of the work that we put back into the community and the work that's put back into the individuals that serve them. I think my passion came from being a social worker. I also, I kind of accidentally fell into being a social worker.
Okay.
I always tell everyone that. My focus was undergrad to be a pharmacist. And 3 years into my college career, I realized that I wasn't going anywhere but into social and psychology. So I have a passion. I love the work that you do for individual in need and see the difference you make. So I think at heart I'm always a clinician.
Yeah, and tell us more about your work. What do you do in Hearth? More about your responsibilities there.
So the day-to-day is different.
Okay.
It's never a dull moment. Every single day. So I oversee the nurses who do the care management of the individuals.
Okay.
So we have services that we provide to the individuals, and then we have homemakers, so they oversee that. And then they do assessments, and we're not a skilled an agency, meaning that but we do provide education to the residents. We do provide clinical, nursing clinical education, and also connect them to pharmacies, doctors, anyone who they need support from and an explanation. Sometimes your doctor will explain to you something and you leave the PCP office and then you get home and you're like, I have a new prescription, I have no idea what it was for. So that's where our nurses come in and then they explain to the needs of the residents. So I oversee the nursing department and then we have a behavioral department. So that behavioral department, we do the pre-assessment of an individual who moves into our assisted living, or we don't do assessments, pre-assessment at the supportive housing, but once they move in, we do what's called initial assessment. So we do that assessment, and then we do an ongoing review of that assessment, and then we connect them to resources and services that they need in the community. If those resources can be provided on site by our wraparound team, then we do provide it. If it's beyond the capacity of the agency, then we refer them out to local agencies like to BMC and other agencies that they need support from.
Okay.
And then we have the programming part of it. Oh, I almost forgot the bigger part of the entire. So the programming, we do provide activities to reduce. So older adults, once we house them, they become more isolated because they are adjusting into a new environment. So their trauma, their addiction, everything surfaces because they're no longer at the point of trauma reactive. Like when they're homeless, all they're trying is to survive that day to day. Where am I going to find a bed tonight? Where am I going to eat this morning? But once they move in and they settle, that's where the real trauma surfaces. And then now it's the addiction and the adjustments, all that come to service. So what we do is provide programming to reduce isolations. So we partner with other agencies that will provide activities and also our program managers. So we have.
So it's more like a holistic approach.
Yes.
Of the need.
What we provide is a wraparound, individualized, trauma-informed services at Hearth.
Yeah.
Every individual, everyone that we serve have had homelessness experience at one time in their life, but their experiences are not the same. So we approach each one and every one of them in a unique and holistic way.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that. Because I was thinking, many people imagine homelessness as something that only affects, for example, younger population. But what surprises people the most when they learn about older adult homelessness, in your experience, for example? Or
I think from some of our experiences, I think a bit of a shocker would be, oh, this person had a career. This person had a life. Okay, we have people there that, a woman who was a human resource director, manager. We have people who have had, master's degrees. Okay. So here are educated people, people who held careers, people who had families. We had a gentleman one time, I believe he's since passed away, that was in a terrible accident and was left paralyzed, and he had children, and his family broke apart after that, and he found himself homeless. There's so many reasons. So what surprises people is that it's not the image of that person on the streets, the junkie. Older adults, it's very different. It's somebody who, for the most part, has fallen on hard times and needs support. And everything that Nimo was describing is what you may have heard the term supportive housing or permanent supportive housing, and it's a big controversy right now in the federal government with HUD and not wanting to, changing the policy and not wanting to support permanent supportive housing, wanting to separate out the funding and saying, we'll allow people to have these resources, but we're not funding permanent supportive housing.
Okay.
And the key is this housing works. And that's why I identify so well with our work, because the example was my brother had a nice apartment. He had a nice place to live. He didn't have the support, the professional support. Living in an apartment building when you're struggling with problems and don't have anyone to help or check on you is a lot different than living in a building like ours, which has all of us working there, all of us there knowing the residents, and then specific support staff there to offer services if they choose to accept.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. It works. We have right now 70% of our residents, 228 residents, 70% of them have lived with us for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
That says a lot.
Oh, that's amazing.
They're not going anywhere. The majority of our residents, the reason they leave is sadly they pass away. I say sadly, but it was they lived with us and they had the dignity and they had the home and they had people around them. So that's a positive thing. And the other, how else, people leave Hearth is they may need a higher level of care, skilled nursing that we can't provide.
Yeah.
So those are the reasons they tend to, leave. So it works is the key.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And when someone finally moves into supporting housing, what are the emotional changes you often witness during these first weeks or months?
Wow. That's a very loaded question, but one that is important one, and an important question that no one asks for the first couple of weeks. When they move in, they're expecting an empty apartment. So meaning that they have to go buy furniture and things, but Hearth furnishes their units prior to move in. We also provide soft goods like toiletries and blankets and pillows and things like to start them off.
Okay.
So the first day they come and they open their door, it's emotional hits them. It's like, I have a roof over my head, that's mine, I have a key. And they settle. The first night is always, difficult for them. The first week or so, it's always difficult. Either they're not getting used to the quietness because they came straight from a shelter where it was loud and you lived with other people. Two, it is sitting in that quietness by yourself. And then now everything is, you start to think about, what am I going to do next, what's going to happen next. And in the morning, if you don't have that support, someone to check on you, it becomes a burden. And then also, not only the quietness, we're also noticing that some of them are struggling to sleep on a soft bed. They have experienced living on the streets, so when they come and live in an apartment with their mattress, we got into a point where we have to accommodate their needs, which is get them noise cancellation, white noises to help with it, maybe filter room, or we got them TVs to put the TV on so they can sleep with noise in the room, or change the bed, to a harder mattress. But the important part of it is that the program manager or the care manager will meet with them that week thoroughly to just check in with them periodically and show them where the bus stop is, where they can go to do groceries in the neighborhood. If they were housed by our prevention and intervention team, outreach department, then they also come and check on them, which they do stabilization. They follow the resident as long as the resident has that need. They also come and check on them. So that approach helps them feel at home. But some of them will come to you and say that I haven't had an apartment of my own for over 10 years. I was couch surfing, I was going from shelter to shelter. Mind you, they're older adults with medical health, with mobility issues, with aging, and no one is providing that support. So I call it the fatigue hits them when they move in. It's finally like, okay now. But they're always excited to have their own place, and then when they go downstairs to have participate in the activity, eat meals, you see the change in their body and their face. Within 3 weeks, literally, they start to gain weight, They are grooming better, they're doing their laundry, so the entire life transformation you can see. Sorry, I was joking.
No. I was thinking, and the word that comes to my mind this moment is exactly that, transformation. So can you share a story, maybe without obviously revealing anyone's identity, but that give us the illustration about that transformation that you've seen?
Yes, I have a lot, but there's one specific individual that I always, because in every journey, there's something that makes you feel this is where I started in that journey. When I started at Hearth, he was the first individual that I've ever worked with. He moved in at Hearth. he had services, obviously, but there was a linguistic barrier. He couldn't take advantage of what was provided, even though we have language line, but there's also that cultural piece of it. I met with him. We were able to provide wraparound services, got him into home health aid, laundry, insurances, disclosed the senior care options, started to participate in the activity rooms, and then the simplest thing that we did for him was connect him with his children back home. He was going to the local PCP. PCP was a bit helpful, but PCP didn't know where, his primary care team did not know where his family were. So just connecting him to his family has lifted him up. He will come every Monday morning and tell me, oh, I spoke with my sons. Because I sent it, he had an email and he didn't know what to do with the email.
Oh, wow.
And back where his family are, there was no WhatsApp then. So he couldn't connect with WhatsApp, so I sent the email, and then they were able to, connect with him that way. Today, he called me the other day. He's advocating for himself. Like, I want this, I want that. He was shy when I met him. He didn't know what he has, what he's eligible for.
Yeah.
And you see the transformation. What we want to see is, what are we providing as an agency, and is the person finally advocating for themselves and asking what they need? I like that. What I call it is setting as an example.
Yeah.
Like, you came to us, but we're not ignoring you. We are supporting you, and also we're teaching you to advocate for yourself, the things that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
Advocate for your needs.
And I think that is aging with dignity. You are giving that to the people. So, Rhonda, under your leadership, Hearth implemented this model called SOAR. So, for listeners who have never heard of it, can you explain what SOAR is and why it's changing the way Hearth supports older adults?
Thank you, absolutely. So as Nimo mentioned, in supportive housing, we don't do pre-assessments. And the reason for that is supportive housing is they're renting an apartment. So we don't want to violate any housing laws. So not to make sure that their assessment, which the assessment is based on medical, behavioral, and social needs. So if we were to provide an assessment, sit down and do an assessment with that potential tenant, that could be viewed, if we don't accept them, as a fair housing. So what happened over the years prior to me becoming CEO, it kind of lost we weren't regularly offering those assessments. So they were truly living independent, and even though we had the services there, we weren't doing it fully with an assessment. So when I came in as CEO, I came up with services, outcomes, assessments, and results. So the focus is that every single resident will be offered an assessment.
Okay.
And it took a bit because there's 228 residents. 43 are from assisted living. We have an assisted living, and that does require an assessment because you need to accept them based on their needs to be in assisted living. But these 185 residents weren't assessed. And it was incredible because it allows us to do better as an agency, to understand, as Nimo has shared with you, if you agree to an assessment, now I understand so much more about you, medically, behaviorally, and even socially. I can tailor my work with you to help provide you these services, or to help design our sites to better support. And outcomes, we then know, once we have a service plan in place, we track it, we know what the outcome, how effective are we being?
Okay.
So what are the results? So the service, we can provide the greatest service, we identify the outcomes through that assessment, we follow the results, and we see where we need to improve. And that's been incredible for us.
Yep.
We've added staff in different specialties to address the needs at our different sites, and every one of our 7 sites is different. And the resident makeup is different, so then we know where we have to put more support. So it's been incredible for us to provide greater service and help for our residents. And maybe Nimo can share a story of what was identified through these assessments, very serious health issues that were identified early.
Yeah, please.
Assessments actually were the best thing that ever happened to our residents' needs. When individuals, especially older adults, are experiencing homelessness, going to see their doctors is not their primary idea of getting support. It's like, where can I find food and where can I find a place I can sleep?
Yep.
So when we did the assessment, we were able to identify that serious medical conditions that were caught ahead of time. So we assessed them, and then we found out that they didn't have a primary care doctors or psychiatrists, so we connect them. Their first doctor's meetings and blood work and everything came back. Most of them, a lot of our residents have came back with serious diagnoses like cancer, dementia, and we were able to catch them early, and then because of the support that we gave it to them, they were able to come back home. So some of them, when they got the diagnosis, instead of going to a hospice or going into any other, skilled nurse facility or rehabs, they have at home care, 24-hour care that will follow them in the home so they can, have their end of life at home. But the other ones who we catched early, they were able to get radiations, they were able to get the medical medications that would help them with their memories, and we were also able to get them, connect them with community partners to go when they go to doctor's appointments so they don't wander around and get lost. So those are the 2 major serious conditions. Other things like dental work. Dental work.
Yeah.
I had a client of mine, she came to me the other night, she's like, I can smile now. I didn't, because she has a beautiful smile, and we always talk, I don't see the beyond, but for her, it was always a conscious part of it. She wears masks, and I didn't know why. I thought that she was wearing for the COVID, but she asked for dental questions, so was able to, the team were able to support her to get into a dental work. The other day she came without no mask, and she's like, I can smile. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see that.
And I think that we are talking about building systems that put people first, is what I am getting about this conversation. From a leadership perspective, what does a leadership with compassion looks like inside of the Hearth organization? Tell us more.
Every leader follows their leader. I follow the leadership of Rhonda. She has set up a really an amazing example for us to do our jobs, a platform where we could provide empathy and compassion and support to our residents, because that's what we're getting from our leadership. She's available for us. We are also available for our clients. So it's a model of follow your leader, so your other teams could follow that, and then you do the same thing for the residents. If you are not compassionate and you're burned out, then you're not able to provide that support to the clients.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking exactly that. How do you keep your team motivated when working with such complex challenge and situation of life? Because I think it could be pretty draining, with emotionally, physically, mentally. So yeah, how do you personally and then to your team help them
So
to?
there's what clinicians called compassionate fatigue. That takes toll on the individual. So our staff do have access to clinical support with, if we lose a lot of clients, that's the business we are in. We take care of older adults.
Yeah.
And older adults, not to say young ones don't pass, but the older adults, they are more frequently and someone you have been working with, you will receive a call saying your client passed away. It hits you. You're either in a meeting or you are. I was in a meeting last Tuesday, and I had to leave and take a moment and reflect and the work we did. If that space was not given to us, then we won't be able to provide the work that we do, right? So our staff do have clinical support. We do have supervisions. We do have, we encourage them to take time off. Don't work longer than you need to take time off. If you need to leave early in the day, go ahead. So we do support as much as we can, where we can, with our staff, and have resources. Am I missing anything?
I want to pick up, when I pointed to Nimo, it wasn't for her to talk about me. It was to say that Nimo is a great example. So I just want to make sure I clarify that. I'm fortunate that I have a great team, and it is hard work, but everybody knows what it takes. Everybody feels it. Everyone has a passion for it. If you don't have a passion for it, you couldn't do it, because it is exhausting, right? We're a small nonprofit, and budgets are tight, and you have that pressure of wanting to provide more for employees and wanting to do more, and you're limited. But they all understand the mission. They all feel it, whether they experienced it in their own life or not. They see the individuals that they help. They see that our work makes a difference. And they see, and I know the person she's speaking about with the dental work, and I know how, happy she is that she was able to go to a dentist and have her teeth fixed and smile again. And that gives you a great feeling, the great feeling that they come to you, they care about us, they know we care about them. So that helps. But as Nimo said, we try to offer whatever services we can to help our employees, because it is hard work. But if we didn't have people that had the passion for it and cared and realized that we're making an impact on these lives, it would be hard to do. But they understand it.
No, of course. And talking about impact, if you could change one public policy tomorrow to better support older adults, what would it be?
It definitely has to be providing more subsidies for housing. We can either build more housing or provide more subsidies for housing, for low-income housing. And that's the key, is we need to get them into a place where they can thrive, right? And the services that we provide to them.
Not just survive, but thrive.
Not just survive, thrive, right? With dignity, and community, and and that's what we try to do. But it's so scarce. The individuals that we can house, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's limited the number of units we have. And we then house them wherever we can, but it's so difficult to find that affordable housing, to find the housing that matches maybe the subsidy or the voucher that they have. We typically would house somebody, it would take us 3 months to house them, and we'd find something in the Boston area. Now it takes approximately 6 months to find somebody housing, so they're in a shelter longer. We're housing them further out. We're Quincy, Brockton, Rockland, you name it, which is difficult for them too. Sometimes they'll get to the point where they'll accept housing wherever it is, right, to get housing. But then we're sending our case managers out to these sites to support them with stabilization services, to integrate them into the community. So that becomes, an expense on the organization as well. So we need more affordable housing in the city and around the city.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Thank you. So before to wrap it up this conversation, let's do rapid fire questions for both. So one word that describes older adult.
Compassionate.
Okay.
Older adults themselves, enjoyable. I mean, you just learn so much.
It's a great word.
Yeah, it really is.
What's one what is one lesson older adults have taught you that changed your own life or your own perspective?
What you see is not always what you see is not always what it is. There's something behind it always.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think it's, I see them and I look as I'm getting older, right? And you say, boy, don't take anything for granted. They fell upon these circumstances over 50. My brother was 60. And we say that, things could happen at every time. So don't take for granted what you have. Don't judge. I think that's probably the biggest thing I came out of my own personal experience. Don't ever judge another person.
Yeah, even with the stories that you told us before,
Right.
about you met with people that maybe in the past were...
HR.
Exactly, exactly. So, what is one thing every younger person should start doing today to age well? For the people that is younger generation.
Definitely take care of yourself health-wise and financially. Try as much as possible to plan for the future because the future comes quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll second that. Plan for the future. Sometimes you will plan and your plan might not go the way you always plan, but have a plan B.
Okay,
Have a plan B.
nice. Thank you. So complete this sentence. Age is just a number because...
You're the same person inside that you were, when you were 20. It doesn't matter. That number doesn't matter. You're that same person.
Beautiful, thank you.
Age is just a number because it's how you feel inside. It's how you. I have 98-year-old resident who's more energetic than I am. So it's just a number.
Exactly. Thank you, Rhonda and Nimo. If there is any, a few last word for this conversation that you want to share, maybe how people can know more about your work or Hearth organization, or any other information that is going to be relevant to share, please. What would it
I'd
be?
say if you want to learn more about Hearth, we're always open. We'll meet with anyone. We're welcome to come in and we'll show you around and learn more about us. We have volunteer opportunities as well if you're interested. So I think it's understanding, the work that we do. We're happy to share that, maybe volunteering, donating if you want, all of that, and spend time with the older adults in your life.
Spending time with the older adults is what I'll say. Volunteering is the most important piece of the work that we would like to see. They will need someone sometimes just to talk to,
Exactly.
beyond the programming that we provide. So yeah, if you could want to know more about us, just let us know. We'll be here.
Yeah, and even we are going to put all the information in this video. So please, if you are interested in knowing more about Hearth's work, please share this video, follow us on YouTube or Facebook where you are watching this video now. So Rhonda and Nimo, thank you so much for everything that you are doing, for your experience, your compassion, your leadership today, because I think we are living in a moment that we need more leaders with compassion, with real love for the people. So today's conversation reminds us that homelessness isn't simple about lacking housing. It's more deeper than that. It's about health. It's about connection. It's about dignity. It's ultimately is recognizing the value of every human being. So regardless of age. Y quiero decir esto en español, gracias a todos los que nos han estado viendo durante todos estos episodios. Por favor, síganos, compartan, también comenten estos videos y díganos qué más les gustaría escuchar. Siempre vamos a poner estos videos con subtítulos en español y cuando es en español con subtítulos en inglés para que todos lo puedan leer. Please send your message, questions, or even ideas If you want to know more about, I don't know, any organization in Boston or any idea about how to work or how to help the older adults, please send us your message. It's going to be great to hear from you. So thank you, and see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.